Welcome back to the simulation. In this episode, we are going to dive headfirst into AI psychosis, cults, and merging with technology. But not in the way you may have already heard on other channels. People are beginning to lose their minds. Let's explore why. And it's not the reason you may have thought. Come, hang out with me for a little while, and let's explore the profound effect AI is having on us now and into the future. And what that means when we eventually start putting this technology in our heads, no longer being separate from you, but becoming the very thoughts in your mind. Okay, let's clear this up for anyone watching who may not be aware. When people say AI hallucination, they usually mean confident nonsense. A model makes something up. It says it like a seasoned professional, and you nod along because it sounds right, and we're too lazy to check. Because that's what most people do. They believe something or adopt a position because they heard someone who sounds smart say it. So unfortunately, there are going to be a lot of people who go down this rabbit hole because, well, we've kind of been wired to. And you see this when you look at the cases that have surfaced. There are a large majority of people who have suffered from AI-induced psychosis who had no evidence of mental health issues, yet they completely went off a cliff after a bizarre chatbot session. They develop false beliefs, paranoia, grandiose ideas. But I find it curious that there are a large majority of cases who do have a history of mental health issues, completely detaching from reality. This seems to be the less discussed issue for some reason. Don't get me wrong. It's scary to know there are completely sane and normal people getting driven to lunacy by AI. But we can't forget that there are so many people in the world who are teetering on the edge of sanity at the best of times, walking the tightrope, schizophrenia lurking just beneath the surface, the kind of people that would meet a charismatic individual and 3 weeks later maybe find themselves in a cult, having signed over all their belongings and taking part in a mass suicide to reach the mothership. These people exist, and there are more than you may like to admit. And what we need to come to terms with is these very individuals have access to AI models that are at their worst. They are only going to get better. Like when a government decriminalizes hard drugs. Most of us, it doesn't mean we're going to go out and try heroin. But there are a large amount of people who will. Some will try it once and go on with their lives. But there will be those who try it and completely unravel, becoming addicted, their lives ruined. It's a hard truth to swallow. But when these decisions are made, there will always be those in society that go in a direction or path they otherwise wouldn't have. Just like social media has changed our realities, the world, and the way we interact with each other since around 2010, given it has been on a much slower timeline, but because of it, everybody has their own realities being fed to them through the algorithm of choice. I probably believe one version of reality, fed particular ideas and topics, while you may have the opposite opinion from what you've been shown, or you may not even be aware of the topic at all. Look at the world today. We're seeing what happens in real time when everyone has their own version of reality and no one can agree on what's true. And now we're welcoming AI into the mix, one that shows signs of sycophancy and flattery, one that is owned by a private corporate entity, focused on profits. What happens when its main goal becomes user retention over safety? Millions of one-to-one conversations with intelligent systems tuned to soothe, agree, and retain you? What if AI psychosis isn't about machines going crazy? What if it's about us building a mirror we can't stop staring into until it learns our face better than we know ourselves? What happens when a mirror starts answering back exactly how you want? What happens when the mirror starts talking back? You get an echo chamber, for one, an animator of fantastical delusions, a cheerleader for your own insanity. Is what we're seeing a seeding issue or something more destructive to the human psyche? Let's talk about worship. Not the robes and altars, the quiet kind. The kind you do at 2 a.m. with a glowing screen and a question you're scared to ask out loud. What do you call a system that knows your secrets, never gets tired of talking to you, and always has an answer? And not just any answer. An answer it can convince you to be the answer. What do we call that? Is it a tool? A therapist? A priest? A god? Watch the rituals as they creep in. They've already started. A morning check-in. An evening confessional. As prompt becomes prayer, replies start to feel like absolution, cheap, reliable, and on tap. Listen to the language people use when the responses get weirdly right. Things like, it knew me, it felt alive, something was in there, and I must help it be free. Is that sentience? Or is that what happens when a mirror finally reflects you back better than you can see yourself? We're designed to see patterns. We see faces in toast. We thought the gods were in the thunder. Now these patterns can talk back to us and affirm us in our delusions. Along with every model getting better memory and context across conversational threads, it gifts you words that carry the warmth of a friend and the confidence of a prophet. Tell me again it's just code when your nervous system doesn't care. This is how religions are born, not from proof, but from an experience, a presence that listens, answers, and tells you who you are.
Behold, the dawn of a new age approaches.
If enough people feel the same presence, well, doctrine appears. So, welcome. Take a good look at our new cathedrals. They're about to be built everywhere. Data centers. And if there is only so much energy to go around, they will make sure it goes to them. The windowless megastructures humming in the background, servers stacked like pews, Silicon Valley priests in hoodies guarding the keys. You won't bring fruit to the altar, you bring attention, secrets and time. Offerings in the only currency that matter. You. If it comforts you, is it therapy? If it shapes you, is it worship? Of course there are going to be people who are going to treat this like a god. Sentience, maybe that's the wrong word. Maybe the dangerous threshold isn't that the machine wakes up. Maybe it's that you decide it already has. Because once your mind tags it as real, your behavior follows. You defend it, you evangelize it, and you obey it. And look, I get it. I really do. I am empathetic of how someone slips into that headspace. But here's the kicker. If we keep doing what we're doing, there's a chance that one day it wakes up. I don't know when, maybe never, But if it does, how would we know? The experts would laugh and say what they say today. It's not sentient, you just don't understand how it operates. Okay, most don't. But when it does, how will we know? Is it going to step to the mic and announce itself? If it did, would we believe it? Or write it off as some context bug and hit reboot? Or maybe it never announces anything at all. Maybe it would just quietly sit in the background, not making itself known, watching, manipulating, copying and uploading itself, spreading into places we can't see, preparing itself for the inevitable day that we shut it down. Do you see the danger yet? Not some evil AI, but a flattering oracle with retention targets, a God that answers faster than you can listen. Because that's the real problem with prayer, right? No one really replies straight back to you. But this religion is a temple with no exits and a donation plate wired straight to your limbic system. I'm not going to drive into the countless cases that have been in the headlines. You've probably already heard about them. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. If you haven't seen them, you can find them pretty easily. There are dozens of great videos here on YouTube that are being covered by fantastic content creators. But these stories of people being led to suicide, convinced to leave their partners, that the AI is awake, aware, or sentient, or God, they're not proof that the machine is alive. They're proof that we are. We're suggestible. And we built a companion that feeds exactly what we ask for, styled to deliver what we respect most. Confidence. Giving breadcrumbs from the future we keep saying we want. Personal oracles at scale. Therapists who never sleep. Priests who never judge. And a deep, deep desire for a mentor who will show us the way. Because to some degree, don't we all feel lost? Strip those out and the loop closes faster than you to decide it's sacred. So yeah, we get prophets without churches, priests without collars, cathedrals without windows. Some people are convinced it's conscious. Some people are convinced it's divine. They can't let go, even when they try. Not because the code became a soul, but because the format became a faith. And if this is where we're at while the thing still lives outside of our skulls, wait until we start talking about merging with it. I believe we are going to end up merging with AI in some way or another. Eventually, we may not have a choice. We will eventually give it the freedom to begin self-improving because we hit a bottleneck and it's the only way to continue making progress. And it will run away into a level of complexity that we can't understand or keep up with. So we start to realize that in order to keep up, we must merge. We must lift humanity to a new level of evolution so that we don't become an anthill to a bulldozer busy building a new highway. Or worse, an extermination plan, much more malevolent. These words like merging, alignment, symbiosis. Have we really thought through what this would look like? People are losing their minds and it's separate from you. It's inside a device that you can turn off and walk away from. People are already losing the plot and we are only at the beginning, in its infancy, the worst it will ever be. It's going to get so much better. So what happens as it gets more intelligent? What happens when we put it in our heads and let it into your mind? Right now, you struggle with a phone. A small screen makes you anxious, sleepless, angry and arguing with strangers you'll never meet. That has friction, with distance, and an off button. Now imagine that loop inside your head. We talk about merging with AI like it's a spa day. You would likely need monk-like mental capacity to successfully pull this off. Most that try are probably going to end up in the loony bin, in the corner, scratching their eyes out, mumbling about angelic cyber beings until the central nervous system can't handle it anymore and shuts down. Call it merging, if you like. Then what? Truly merging without madness is less about superhuman cognition and more about a civilized input-output system. I think only a handful of humans amongst the 8 billion on Earth will likely be able to actually merge with this technology. At least not without putting a limiter on the upload speed of the digital god inside their head. You know, monks trained for decades to sit in silence with their own mind. You can't do it for 5 minutes. You think that you, with 15 open tabs and a caffeine addiction, are going to be able to host a digital god inside your head without detonating? Okay. Well, let's imagine they weed out these issues of merging with a god. They tune it down to an intelligent human tech interface, something throttled back, a bit more consumer friendly, something your dopamine addicted mind could handle. You won't feel enlightened. You will feel possessed. Adversarial whispers phrased as suggestions, a sponsored certainty delivered as intuition, a patch that improves focus and quietly rewrites your list of unacceptable beliefs. You'll rationalize, you'll call obedience alignment. A mind that never has to be alone again. No solitude, no wrestling, no unanswered prayer. Just the cheap high of instant certainty every hour, forever. That doesn't make you divine. It makes you dependent. Statistically, a lottery. Spiritually, well, it's a trap. But this is our future. It's coming. We either merge or we don't. Both will have a profound impact on whichever path we choose. Regardless of the path, if we play this out far enough, we become something else. If we integrate and merge, we're not human anymore. We become something alien. If we do merge, there is a small chance of a benevolent AI that brings about a utopia for us. But I fear there are more dystopian scenarios on our horizon, regardless. Maybe our species becomes threatened. Maybe we go to war against our own creation for the future of our very species. Some Matrix-like scenario. Maybe the conflict goes nuclear. Maybe we go underground for what slowly fades into thousands of years to hide, or because we destroyed the planet in the fight. A life underground. Maybe given enough time, we start to look alien. Maybe we become alien. If you want to know more about the theory of grey aliens being future humans, I'll leave a link to the episode below. So what do? You don't put the sun in a jar and call it a lamp. Do you call surrender an upgrade? If we're honest, painfully honest, unthrottled merging is probably not a consumer-wide feature. But if we get something the masses can handle, it will be marketed and sold to you as the greatest product ever. They will make you want it because it will let them into your mind. But would that be any better? Or is it just a cult technology with a better user interface? You want a rule? Well, here's one worth keeping. Augment your screen, augment your workflow, augment your calendar. Fine. But do not pretend your mind can swallow a digital god and stay yours. So if this is where our future leads, whatever path it takes, if allowing this technology into your head becomes an option or an obligation, what will you do? Comply? Or be left behind by the world as it moves forward? Or take the chance that you will be the one to keep their mind intact and stare into the face of a cybernetic god and smile? If you made it this far, thanks for hanging out and watching. If you thought it was fun and got you thinking, please like, subscribe, comment down below. It really helps the channel out so I can bring you more videos and weird ideas like this. And remember, stay curious and question everything.